Welcome back to this week's video. We're going to mix tons of concrete and give our fruit tree some water.
So to get started on this project, the materials I've bought are these reinforcing squares, reinforcing tie wire, 14mm rebar, 12mm rebar of cement, 40mm drain pipe, gravel, sand, and of course, stone. My plan is to run these 12mm rebars through these. These squares will be every half a metre. So every 500mm, we'll have these tied in like this. And then I'm going to have verticals, which are the 14mm rebar that come out of the foundation and will be inside the stone wall. That way it ties all aspects of the foundation together with the rebar, but it also ties the stone wall down to the foundation with that rebar. So it all becomes one piece, one entity, hopefully making it plenty strong enough that it's not going to go anywhere. And if you haven't already worked it out, this is very definitely going to be a big permanent feature on our land. Oh my God, how do people do this? I very quickly realised that tying them with wire just wasn't holding them stiff enough for my liking. When I went to pick it up, the whole lot sort of went twisted and these went at a funny angle and all sorts. So I thought I'd just give it a quick go at just tack welding them to hold them in place so that it's a one-piece entity and I can pick it up and move it around and place it where I need it. And I haven't bothered cleaning any of the mill scale up or any of the rust that's on there. I literally just thought I'll see what happens with it as it is, because if it's going to be a nightmare to weld, then I might as well not, you know, not bother. If I've got to clean them all up, it's not worth it. But actually it's working really, really well, and it's much quicker than even if the wiring held it tightly, this is still significantly quicker. This is the plan I've come up with. These squares have got 2 bits of 12 on the bottom and then 1 bit of 12 on the top in the middle. And it's going to go in the trench this way. And then what will happen is these vertical tie members, which are the 14mm, they're going to tack weld or wire up on these joints and at the bottom here. And at the minute these squares are placed every 500, I think doing that for the stone wall is very over the top. We're going to struggle to get stone to fit within this. So I think I'm going to do every metre. So every other one will have a vertical member right the way round. But having not worked with stone before, I'm not quite sure how well, like these in the centre could be a real hindrance. We could be having a nightmare trying to go round these and encase these in cement, but get the stones around as well. So we'll see how we go, but I think it's going to work out all right. It's taken me a bit of time to get my head around a plan and exactly how I'm going to lay it out and make it work, but I'm happy with this. It looks good. What I'm planning to do is to poke the ends of these into the soil on the end of the foundation. My plan is where the soil ends, I'm going to poke it through the soil, so that if we decide to extend this wall, which is a possibility in the future, there will be rebar poking out, and that means we can uncover that and dig a foundation, either keep going this way or this way, away from the camera, And it'll mean that when we uncover these, we'll be able to pour concrete around and it'll tie all the foundations in together to make sure that it still becomes a one-piece entity, even if this is 5 years later. What I overlooked was how hard the ground is. Something like that. With this back wall of the foundation being 7 metres long and us only being able to get rebar in 6 metres, it means that we're a little bit short here. My plan is with the offcuts of this bits of rebar, I'm going to weld some extensions on here and join the whole lot together and weld it up in the hole to make sure that it's all super strong and ready for the concrete pour. So yesterday the SD card filled up and the camera didn't notify me without beeping, and so I was none the wiser. Anyway, I have finished the rebar, that is all in. What I've done is welded in vertical supports every metre, and then with the leftover rebar I've then put them up at an angle and welded them. So the rebar that's in the footing is actually hanging, it's suspended in mid-air, and that means that the concrete can get right the way around it and there's nothing touching it to the floor. When the concrete sets, I will then remove these bits of rebar that are at the angle here that are supporting it, and the whole lot will be locked in concrete without us having to prop it up in the trench.
Today is pretty overcast. We're fingers crossing that there won't be any rain, and we're going to make the most of it and get some concrete into the footings.
Oh my goodness. The first of many, many, many barrows. So that is it, we officially are done with the footings. 3.5 roughly cubic meters of concrete, 37 bags of cement, making 74 mixes in total, which has made 74 wheelbarrow loads. I had some leftover concrete in the wheelbarrow, and Kayleigh's been slipping and sliding down this slope, and I've been really worried about her hip. So we just knocked up some steps here, we just dug in the ground and threw some concrete in there, and then stuck some gravel on the top to make them look, well, quite frankly, awful, but they've served a purpose, that's the main thing. So as it gets a bit cooler in the evening, usually around this time as the sun starts to set, I come around and water the plants, water the trees and all the rest of it. Because it is so crazy hot now, the other day we had 40 degrees. I think that the fruit trees need watering pretty much every day. As you can see, they're actually doing really, really well, and they're really happy here, which is great. And I don't think, no, we haven't lost any. They all look good, and they all look like they've taken, and they all look very healthy, which is great. However, it does take me, maybe an hour's over-egging it a little bit, but basically an hour to water them. We've only got 16 trees here, but I do give them plenty of water. So to speed this process up watering, because I should be getting on with a wall right now and not watering the garden, we have decided to invest. And it wasn't much of an investment, to be honest, but we are going for some irrigation line. So we are going to install, at the moment, this irrigation line on the surface as a temporary setup, see how we get on with it, see how we like it. It means that the trees will basically water themselves and keep themselves sorted, and hopefully plug it into the hose pipe on a timer and it'll turn itself on and water the trees, which is amazing. I actually love standing out here watering the trees, but the truth is I just don't have the time at the moment. I really need to get on with this wall, and with it being so hot, we're desperate for our pool. And I can't get the pool up till the wall's done. This is 16 mil hard. I say it's hard, it's actually surprisingly soft. Irrigation line. We have got this fitting, which is basically a threaded insert. It goes into here on a barb fitting, fits into the end of the hose like that, and then this connects to our hose pipe. We have these, which are our drippers, and they've got a really sharp spike on the end, and you just force them through the pipe, and then you can control the drip on the threaded red bit here. And then for the other end, we have this, which is just an end stopper. And that just goes in the end of the pipe and caps it off. So hopefully this should be pretty straightforward and a fairly quick and easy setup. Should we try this way? This could be a mistake. This could be a mistake. I think I'm going to take this pipe for a walk. Let's have a walk, shall we? Also, can I just say, how amazing are these fruit trees looking? So chuffed with how well they've come on in the time that they've been in the ground. Especially this apple. Look at this, just insane. Also, we've noticed that this apple especially is absolutely covered in little green aphids, and it is swarming with ants, and they're eating all the aphids. How cool is that? Gotta love nature. Do you remember me saying before that this apple tree was doing really well? Well, it's actually doing really well, and it's got new growth coming at the bottom. So I'm also going to put a drip feed on there before coming back down here. If it survived this long without any watering, it's going to love a bit of water. Along there, along there. Oh, 60 metres was probably cutting it. Just. Wow, that's crazy. 60 metres. At the base of our first tree. Let's give this a go. He assures me you literally just push them in. So, we want it back there. Okay. Well, it has gone in. Again, I suppose it doesn't really matter if it drips. That's what it's supposed to do. the barbed fitting in the end there. All the way up like that. And we can just tweak it up with this. And then what I'm doing for the moment is I'm just rigging this onto a hose pipe, because we don't, at the moment it's a temporary setup. I'm sure when the garden, we actually start really cracking on with the garden, we will have a proper irrigation system set up where there'll be loads of taps and everything's plugged into that, and then everything goes off from there. Hose pipe connector on the end there. So with that all being fitted and all the jets in, let's plug a hose in and see what happens. I can hear water. Let's go and have a look. Here we go. Look at that. Wow, this is working really well. Now they are all flowing. I'm just going to go around and tweak the flow rates to make sure that they're all flowing fairly equally. Answers in the comments, please. How long would you put these on for? I'm thinking every day for 1 hour in the evening. Or at night, doesn't really matter I suppose. But so it's got time to go into the ground, soak into the ground before any evaporation happens the next day with the crazy heat that we have. Also, huge thank you to you all in the comments of, I think it was last week's video where we mentioned, yeah it was last week's video where we mentioned the fruit trees and this peach leaf curl. Loads of you commented and said it was peach leaf curl and we need to catch it quick because it can spread. So thank you all very much for that. They call it agro-pharmacy here, which is like you know, where you get your pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that from. So yes, we will go and get a treatment for this. I think that's pretty good. Like I say, whilst I did used to love standing out here with the hose, bit of Joe Rogan on or something, killing an hour, I don't really have time for that. So what do you reckon? I reckon a good job done, and for the first time ever it went to plan and it probably only took me an hour. We've also got this, which is a perforated lay flat pipe. There's 100 meters on here and it's got holes in it, or tiny little slots in it, every 20 centimeters. And we're going to set this irrigation system up on the vegetable patch, but also we're going to run a load of this around the caravan to try and keep the grass green as part of our reducing the risk of fire, wildfire. We know that if we can't control the whole land, it's too much for us at the moment to try and manage that. So we've got to do damage limitation. If the land goes up, then the land goes up. It would be gutting, but at least we don't lose the caravan and the house and stuff. So the plan is that we will run this along the back of the caravan and around the decking, and it'll keep the grass nice and green in a big area, hopefully. So if we do get wildfire, when it hits our fire break, it's going to go from a big raging inferno down to a smoulder across the ground, but it will still travel. And then the idea is that when that reaches green grass that's been watered, there's nothing for it to burn. The green grass won't burn. So hopefully the fire stops there. That's the plan. Now, for those of you that were also wondering how much did this lot cost? Well, with this perforated pipe irrigation, the hard pipe, all the valves, all the hose connections, everything was 42 lev, less than £20, which is an absolute bargain as far as I'm concerned. Money very, very well spent. And as we are talking right now, the trees are being watered. How cool is that? Right, back to that stone wall. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll leave you here with some clips of a storm that we had, which I've slowed down to each individual frame rate so you can see how impressive this lightning looks. And it's followed by the same clips in real time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. And of course, we'll see you next week. And we still, oh, I knew that would happen every time I turned the thingy. There we go. Nice.
We're gonna, is that right?
So for this project, I've got SD card got full and got full.
Be full capacity.
You flipping poo bag. This is not connected. I am Google's AI and I'm here to take over the world. Getting a bit deluded. Which makes 74. 74. But I cannot remember these numbers.